Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello, I'm Sheilla, Yolalessie VISYAMAND. I'm from 6F, from English Education. Here, I want to explain or present about code mixing and code switching. Happy watching and hopefully useful for y'all. Okay, a language is closely related to how people communicate with another one. Thus, in learning a language, we are also bound to people or society. In linguistics, it is known as sociolinguistic, right? Sociolinguistic is the study learning about human and society. According to Gill, 1974, sociolinguistics is part of linguistics which is concerned with language as a social and cultural phenomenon. It investigates the field of language and society that have close connection with the social science, especially social psychology and others. Okay, then for the first slide is the sociolinguistic or people, of course, studying a language must be familiar with a code. But what is a code? A code is a symbol of nationalism that is used by people to speak or communicate in a particular language, such as a dialect, register, an accent, or a style on different occasions and for different purposes. And then, how many code in sociolinguistic? Okay, a code in sociolinguistic is divided into two kinds. There are code mixing and code switching. According to Stockwell 2002, code mixing occurs when people mix two languages between mother tongue and English. Because Naban 1993 said that code mixing is found mainly in informal interaction. There are some reasons why people make code mixing. Firstly, in code mixing, bilingual speakers seems to apply some words or phrases from foreign language piece of one language smaller than clause, while the other language or code function as the base language. Secondly, bilingual speakers mix codes when there is no topic not that change, nor does the situations. Okay, then the practice of alternately using two languages is called as code switching. Code switching is a linguistic phenomenon commonly occurring in bi- and multilingual speech communities. And people who switch the language should have a purpose, such as someone qualify message, imply or emphasize confidently, anger and annoyance, and etc. While code mixing in this change of one language to another within the same utterance or in the some oral or written text. The use of code mixing reflects the idea that the alternation of the language is not yet constrained. Then Moiscan 2000 also described that code mixing is typically divided into three main types. First is insertion, it is word or phrase. Second, alternation, it is clause, and congruent, lexicalization or dialect. And the most common occurrence of code mixing variants in society is insertional code mixing. What the writer means about insertion is insertion of materials like lexical items or entire constituents from one language into structure of the other language. Okay, Alternation means that the alternation between structures from language. The last is congruent lexicalization of material from different lexical inventories into a shared grammatical structure. First, insertion is the process of code mixing, which is conceived as something akin to borrowing, the insertion of an alien lexical or phrasal category into a given structure. The second, alternation, it occurs between clauses, meaning the alternation is used when speaker mixing his or her language with a phrase. The third, congruent lexicalization, is the influence of dialect within language use. Okay, for remembering again, there are two code mixing. Firstly, code mixing, and secondly, code switching. Okay, the definition of code mixing is the change of one language to another language within the same utterance or in the same oral or written text, according to Naban 1993. Okay, for code switching, is a linguistic phenomenon commonly occurring in bi- and multilingual speech communities. Okay, there are also some examples of code mixing and code switching. There are some sentences and categories to code mixing and code switching. The first example is I am great, thank you. For the second is jadi waktu aku kecil sekitar umur 8, mama sempat jadi host impartial 008 and you were also there where you do your magic. And the third example is jadi waktu aku kecil sekitar umur 8, mama sempat jadi host impartial 008 and you were also there where you do your magic. Okay. And then ia pindah ke LA waktu aku umur 16. Di sana aku high school, sempat kuliah music juga, and then balik lagi ke sini. It is okay. Okay. The example, first example is code mixing is insertion, and code switching. The code switching is intrasensation. Another example is ngedance deh, jangan break dance. For the second is kebetulan juga lagi syuting, padat dan butuh refreshing juga tapi yang produktif. Lagi kolaborasi sama denim pot mix pop. Jadi ada denim buat kolaborasi di Jakarta Fashion Week. Emang lagi iseng serius merambah ke fashion. Kalau dilihat dari detailsnya, tulisannya hope, love, faith. Iya, have positive energy, positive feelings. Dan juga hope-nya, harapannya selalu dipenuhi dengan cinta. I wish I was born in blah blah blah. And next, I have example video from YouTube. From Boy William, a dialogue between Boy William and Maudy Ayunda. They use code mixing and code switching. Happy watching!
How you been?
I've been good. I've
Yeah?
been really good.
Last time I saw you, we were in my car
Yes.
for Nebeng Boy,
Terus aku nyetir.
and you drove,
Yes.
and we almost crashed. And then you were talking about how you're so into education and all your school and all that kind of stuff. Makanya it got me curious. Okay? I really want to see what you do in the States.
Yeah, so, well, I'm studying, right? So this is my second quarter now. I'm doing joint degree in
Yeah,
business
yeah.
and education. I think I told you.
You told me about this.
Iya, kayaknya waktu itu aku bilang. Terus, so right now I'm doing that. I'm doing business and education. And then, that's really it. Aku balik jadi mahasiswa lagi.
You have to show me around your life. So where are we now? Ini apa nih?
This is basically the Stanford campus.
Okay.
Cuman ini bukan bagian business schoolnya. Jadi sebenarnya aku tuh jarang kesini.
Right.
This is kind of like kalau aku lagi pengen a moment to myself and I want to kind of like find space to study outside of the business school area.
Right.
This is where I go. Karena ini cantik banget.
Ini bagus sih.
Ini tuh kayak, dan hari ini lagi hari yang cantik banget, so it's like the sun is out. Biasanya orang tuh kayak piknik-piknik gitu,
Right.
terus kayak they open up their books and that's where they study.
Okay, let's go in here. Wow.
So this is like pretty with these big stones.
I feel like an alien inside a super smart territory.
Boy itu di sini lagi sempurna banget pokoknya
Yeah.
timingnya karena hari ini hari Minggu, jadi
Yeah.
lagi nggak terlalu rame dan
Wow.
kita jadi bisa filming.
You go to school every single day. What's your schedule like?
Okay, thanks a lot for attention. Hopefully useful for you all. I do sorry if I do some mistakes. Okay, study hard. Okay, and as I say, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.